Welcome all to today's session from Bhagavad Gita as it is by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. At the moment we are discussing from chapter 17, the divisions of faith, and we have covered up to verses 15. We shall be continuing from verse 16 and we'll try to cover up to verses 21 or 22. Let's see how much we can cover. And in these verses 7 to 22, as we have been discussing, it's about the food, sacrifice, austerity, and the charity in the three modes of nature, which is goodness, passion, and ignorance. So let us begin. Let's invoke the Lord's presence. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim. Yat kripatam ham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hari Om Tat Sat. Verse 16. Manah prasadah saumyatvam maunam atma vinigrahah bhava samshuddhire tetat tapo manas muchyate. Translation: and satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purification of one's existence are the austerities of mind. Verse 17. Shraddhaya paraya taptam tapastat trividham narahe afalakankshiksh bhiriyuktae satvikam parichakshate. This threefold austerity, performed with transcendental faith by men, not expecting material benefits but engaged only for the sake of the Supreme, is called the austerity in goodness. Verse 18. Satkaramana pujartham tapodambhena chaivayat kriyate tadih proktam rajasam chalam dhruvam. Penance performed out of pride and for the sake of gaining respect, honor, and worship is said to be in the mode of passion. It is neither stable nor permanent. Verse 19. Mudha grahenatmano yat pidya kriyate tapaha parasyotasad nartham vatattamas mudaritam. Penance performed out of foolishness, with self-torture, or to destroy or injure others is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Verse 20. Datavemiti yaddanam diyate anupakarine deshe kale cha patre cha taddanam satvikam smritam. Charity given out of duty without expectation of return at the proper time and place and to a worthy person is considered to be in the mode of goodness. Verse 21. Yattu pratyupkarartham phalamuddishya va punah diya cha pariklishtam taddanam rajasam smritam. Translation: but charity performed with the expectation of some return or with a desire for fruitive results or in a grudging mood is said to be the charity in the mode of passion. And finally, the final verse for today, verse 22. Adeshakale yaddanam patrebhyascha diyate asatkritam vagyatam tattam samudaritam. And charity performed at an impure place at an improper time to unworthy persons or without proper attention and respect is said to be in the mode of ignorance. So we have been reading about how the modes of nature, and as we know, they are always attacking us all the time. We have to learn to recognize the modes and try to purify our activities and not to fall prey into the modes, but it is easier said than done at times. If you haven't realized what modes they are and how they affect us, and how the activities are also affected by them, then it's hard to what do we say here, hard to keep check on our activities. So now Bhagwan has already told us about the food and sacrifice, and we have been talking about the austerity yesterday as well. So let's carry on from there. In verse 16, Bhagwan is saying to Arjun that satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self-control and purification of one's existence are the austerities of mind. Yesterday we were talking about the austerities of speech, and today it is about the austerity of mind. Austerity of speech was in verse 15, and not to speak agitating words to others, not to agitate others, but it does happen. So ask for forgiveness and try to not to replicate it in future to the best of your abilities. In verse 16, about the austerities of the mind. Mind will be made austere. How it will be made austere? It will be made austere when we are able to detach it from sense gratification, because mind is always asking for the gratification of the senses, and the senses, they are actually puppets in front of the modes, and the mind has got a strong hold on them. But God has given us intelligence as well, so we should not be worrying too much. We can use our intelligence to control our mind, and the training of the mind is called in gravity of thought. Gravity is called Gambhir in Mauna is Gambhir in Sanskrit, like we're reading yesterday, and we have to keep the mind quiet, keep it Gambhir. It's a gradual practice, and because we shouldn't become hopeless as well, because we have got millions and millions of, God knows how many, I'm just saying millions, could be more than millions of births, so as to say, what's the word, the imprints of millions of lives are there on our soul, and we act accordingly if we don't know better. But after reading the Shastras, we have to slowly practice, and it is possible, slowly it will be possible for us to control the mind. And how that will become possible? It will become possible through the bhakti, through the Krishna consciousness. By employing ourselves in the devotion of Lord, we'll be able to dovetail or to take our mind away from the sense gratification. The more we will want to enjoy our senses, the more we will find out the opportunities to do so, and we'll be unnecessarily wasting our time in those unnecessary pursuits all our life. And instead we should try to concentrate on the study of the Vedic literature. At least to start with, give it 15 minutes a day, and slowly, as you find it, your mind finds it easy, it becomes trained, you can study up to an hour or even 2 in a day. You won't find it difficult. But in the beginning, just start with 15 minutes a day of understanding and self-study about the Vedic literature. There's so many interesting stories in Bhagavatam about Lord's. Bhagavatam is Lord's pastimes. Then there is Mahabharata, there is Purans. There's so many interesting stories. We can acquire knowledge, become purified, and you can tell these stories to your children as well, and also help them in advancing in life, in the spiritual side of life, because being parents, this is one of our duties as well, to engage our children into this side of life. This is part of life, and silence means that one is always thinking of self-realization. Prabhupada says, and we should also become straightforward in our dealings with others, and in our dealings, actually, not only others, but in our dealings we should be straightforward, and there should be no conceit or any duplicity, and this way we'll be able to purify our life. And these qualities altogether, they come under the austerity of mind. In verse 17, Bhagavan says that this threefold austerity performed with transcendental faith by men not expecting material benefits but engaged only for the sake of supreme is called austerity in goodness. So the threefold austerity is austerity of speech, austerity of mind, and the worship of the seniors, that is the Brahmanas, and the worship of the Lord. First of all, the Brahmanas, spiritual masters, superiors like the parents, and also the cleanliness, both inside and out. Inside is through the chanting of the holy names and reading the scriptures, and simplicity and celibacy and non-violent celibacy. That means just to be not indulging in any kind of sexual activities outside of married life is celibacy, and non-violence is not hurting anyone with our actions or with our words or our thoughts, and also not killing any jivas for the gratification of our taste. That is, try to become vegetarian. Now, these are the threefold austerities Bhagavan has told us in verses 15, 16 and 17. 14, 15 and 16. Okay, now let's move on to verse 18. And verse 18, Bhagavan says that penance performed out of pride and for the sake of gaining respect, honor and worship is said to be in the mode of passion. It is neither stable nor permanent. So anything which you are doing sometimes we do some kind of tapasya or some kind of dan or etc. Just or anything, or behavior, sometimes it's just to attract the attention of the people, or we want to have some kind of respect from them, or we want to just make a point that, oh, our activities, our behavior, our conduct is very is the very greatest of all, and out of pride we do that, then it is said to be and also for our own honor, and we should be worshipped by people, we should be getting accolades from people. And if you're behaving like that, then that is supposed to be in the mode of passion, and this is neither stable nor permanent. because you want that the people working under you or people who are lower in rank in the material life, they should give you a lot of praise. And this is all is all temporary. This is not going to last forever, because this comes under the mode of passion. The results will be not classed as permanent. In verse 19, Bhagavan says that penance performed out of foolishness with self-torture or to destroy or injure others is said to be in the mode of ignorance. So the example is of the demons like Hiranyakashipu, who performed big tapasyas and got the boon from the benediction from the to become immortal, that they will never die, and they could kill. They got the boon to kill. He got the boon that he could kill the demigods as well. But the Creator is always far more superior than the one who is asking for the benediction or the boon. So Bhagwan, as we see, we know in Hiranyakashipu's instance, that Lord came as Nrsimhadev because of the Hiranyakashipu's boon. He didn't want to be killed during day or night by a person or by an animal. So Lord came as half man and half lion form as Nrsimhadev, and Lord killed him, and Lord appeared from a pillar in his palace. And so Lord knows how to go around the boons or benedictions that Lord sometimes grants as well to these demons. Now, such kind of acts are in the mode of ignorance or the mode of darkness. Verse 20, Bhagavan is saying about charity now, that charity given out of duty without expectation of return at proper time and place and to worthy person is considered to be in the mode of goodness. So charity has to be given according to the Vedic literature, according to the scriptures, is to a person who is doing this, who is engaged in spiritual life, spiritual activities. So when we give charity, we have to be very careful, because if that charity which we are giving to a person or an organization is abused, is not used for the right cause, and what will happen is that will make us to suffer. In the consequence, we will get the karma for giving the charity to the wrong person or the wrong organization. So we have to be very careful, and it is recommended that we should give the charity in a place of pilgrimage, on a solar or a lunar eclipse, or at the end of month to a qualified Brahmana or a Vaishnava, which is a devotee, or in temples. And we should be giving such charity without even thinking that we will get anything in return. Not like, before knowing much about Krishna, how we would just go to a temple and offer, for example, certain amount of money or certain amount of eatables to Lord and say, "Oh Lord, please accept this and please give me this in return." So that is not charity. It has to be given without the expectation for anything from a person or even from the Lord. So in this case, actually, Bhagavan is telling us that we should give charity to a Brahmana or a devotee of the Lord without expecting any return. And charity to the poor, Prabhupada is telling that sometimes it comes as compassion, because we feel, our heart feels for that person, but if a poor man is not worth giving charity to, then there is no spiritual advancement. So we have to be carefully thinking, weighing the pros and cons before even giving the charity. So we have to discriminate. We have to weigh it properly in our thinking, that is the charity being given to the right person at the right moment for a right cause, because we don't want to get entangled into the karma of that person, how that person is going to use that money. So don't be indiscriminate in giving. Charity should not be given indiscriminately. Verse 21, Bhagwan says, the charity performed with the expectation of some return or with the desire of fruitive results or in a grudging mood is said to be charity in the mode of passion. And sometimes charity is done that is given for elevation to higher planets, or if you have done something wrong and you want you're doing it for some repentance or some kind of forgiveness, or bad feelings in your head, in your mind, in your conscience, and you think that, oh, giving this charity is going to rid of those feelings in you. For the repentance you do that, and then when you say, oh, why I'm spending so much of that, Prabhupada is telling us, then this charity is also under some kind of obligations, because you are not giving it with a free conscience, with a free mind, and or some senior person or some senior in your life has asked you to give that charity. So that is called a charity in a mode of passion, in the mode of passion. And this kind of charity is also not recommended in the Vedic scriptures. Some charitable foundations, they give such charities as gifts to people. So this is all charity in the mode of passion. The only charity in the mode of goodness is recommended by the in the mode of goodness is recommended by the scriptures. Finally, the verse 22, the final verse of today, it is telling us that Bhagwan is saying to Arjun, charity performed at an impure place, at an improper time, to unworthy persons, or without proper attention and respect, is said to be in the charity of ignorance. So we are strictly told by the scriptures that please don't give charity to anyone if your charity is going to encourage them for intoxication, gambling, all the bad habits or drugs, or it's which is not going to be good for their body or their mind, for their physical well-being or their spiritual well-being. Don't give such charity. Such charity is called in the mode of ignorance. So sometimes we see some homeless people out in the road, and we just feel very sorry for them, and out of compassion if you just give I've seen people buying them cigarettes and beer and all that. That is not recommended at all, because you're not going to help that person at all. If at all you want to help such person, it's best to, if you can get some prasad from your home, something you have cooked or offered, then you can give to the person. But in today's day and age, sometimes there's so many allergies and food intolerances people are suffering from, and sometimes you're out and about, you're away from home. So best is to just get some fruits or nuts from a shop, or whatever you have in your possession at that time, in your car or in your bag. Just, if it's offered already to Bhagwan, that's fine, or just quickly offer in your mind to Bhagwan and give that person to eat that. At least that will start the spiritual journey of that person in this life. The seed of bhakti will be, of the devotion service will be sowed in that person's life. So this is how we should act. So suitable person has to be given charity, and without the expectation of getting anything back from them, that will be charity in goodness. But Prabhupada is telling us very clearly that if a person gives charity to a suitable person, for example, is to a right candidate, but you have got no respect or no attention, then that kind of charity is also charity in the mode of darkness or in the mode of goodness. So you should have respect and attention as well at the same time. Then only your charity will be considered in the mode of goodness. Otherwise, it will be in the mode of darkness. So that brings us to the end of verse 23 now, and we will discuss from verse 24 onwards, and hopefully we'll come to the end of this chapter next time. We'll be talking about making sacrifices transcendental by uttering Om Tat Sat. These will be covered in the verses 23 to 28. I'll thank you all for joining in today's discussion. I wish you all a very happy and Krishna conscious day ahead. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.